I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was not about to record this video, but it was really heavy on my spirit to talk about showing up and sometimes even looking crazy for your goals. I want you to think about it. Have you ever set a goal and someone's told you like that goal's too far or too much? Have you ever set a goal and in so many words they basically hated on it? Or maybe you've set a goal and asked for support, but people really refuse to support you. That can be so challenging. But what I want to encourage you with today is just because people don't see your long-term vision, just because they don't understand the long-term outcome that you desire, doesn't mean that your goal is irrelevant, doesn't mean that your goal doesn't matter, and definitely doesn't mean that you can't accomplish it. So here locally, we have been having a heat wave. And so I set a goal to start running this week again. And I'll be honest, I didn't feel like running. And that's part of the reason I didn't want to do this video today, because I didn't do my hair yet or anything. But I began running, and as I was running, this message dropped in my spirit. So I immediately went live in my small group of my clients, and I was just sharing with them like how we have to show up for our goals, even when it's not convenient, even when it doesn't feel good. And in that moment, I remember feeling embarrassed, right? I'm like, man, I look absolutely crazy. But I still felt this strong desire to share the message, because sometimes with our goals, it doesn't make sense, right? Sometimes with our goals, we got to show up even if it looks a little bit crazy. Sometimes with our goals, we got to keep doing it even if it doesn't make sense. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Noah, right? Here's the thing with Noah's story. Noah was building the ark because God told him to build the ark. Now, nobody heard this message from God except for Noah. So when he started building this ark, people thought he was crazy. And what I learned recently with this story that really took it over the edge is that when Noah was building this ark, rain wasn't even a concept. So he's building an ark for this big rain flood that's getting ready to happen when people hadn't even heard of anything like that. And they hadn't heard this message from God. But Noah kept building even though people didn't see what was going to happen. Noah visualized it. Noah knew it was dropped in his spirit. And he kept building even when people didn't understand it. Even when people told him he was crazy. That's the way we got to show up for our goals. We have to show up for our goals so unapologetically and so confidently, knowing that our goals are not by accident. Those desires that you have built in your heart, dropped in your spirit, aren't there by accident. God didn't just casually give them to you. They're there with an intention. They're there on purpose. And the last thing you want to do is adopt somebody else's belief about your goals and your visions. When you adopt other people's beliefs and you listen to other people, that's a recipe for mediocrity, overwhelm, and confusion. You don't need any of that in your goals. You don't want to be mediocre with your goals. You don't want to be confused about your goals, and you don't want to be overwhelmed about your goals. So what you need to do instead is you need to determine who you're talking to when you share your goals, right? Research says that we are an average of the top 5 people we spend the most amount of time with. And so if you're surrounding yourself with people where you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're surrounding yourself with people that don't have goals, you're in the wrong room. If you're surrounding yourself with people that think that your goals are stupid, then it's time to make a shift or adjustment. And when I say a shift or adjustment, I don't mean with your goals. I don't mean with your vision, but I mean with your people. One thing that I've learned on my entrepreneurial journey is the power of having the right people around you. There is not one person in my family around me that is an entrepreneur, that has stepped into this role or this responsibility. And if I based my goal on what they saw or what they believed about entrepreneurship, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys speaking and sharing my message today. But I'm a firm believer that God dropped my business concept, and my idea in my spirit for a reason. And I'm so grateful that I showed up for it even when it didn't make sense. I am so grateful that I showed up for it even when I looked crazy. Because had I not done that, I wouldn't be able to have had the impact and continuous impact that I've been able to have in other people's lives. And I wouldn't have been able to grow in the way that I've been able to grow thus far. When I started my business, people thought I was crazy. I had a whole doctorate degree, and they're like, be happy with the job that you have. And I was very grateful for the job that I had. I'm very grateful for, the connections that I've made. I'm very grateful for the schooling that I've had, but I wanted so much more. I had a desire for so much more. And so instead of quieting that desire, or instead of adopting people's beliefs that I should just be happy and satisfied and stable and not think about anything else, I decided to go after what I wanted to. And did I look crazy? Sure. Did it look weird? Sure. Did it look like I didn't know what I was doing? I'm sure it did, but I still did it. Just like today, when I felt in my spirit that I needed to share this message with you, whether I looked crazy, whether it was well thought out, whether it made sense, I just started speaking and God met me where I am. And that's the same thing he does with our goals. When you have a vision and when you have a goal that's God led, he'll meet you where you're at. One of my favorite quotes is by Martin Luther King. And it says, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. And sometimes that's what it looks like with our goals. Sometimes we are taking that first step and we don't see the path ahead of us. But as you continue to go, it becomes illuminated right in front of you. And you can continue to move forward and continue to take those steps. And here's the good news. First, it starts off you looking crazy. Then it looks like, oh, I kind of can see what this person is doing. And then it has a beautiful outcome if you maintain your consistency, if you continue along that path, and if you don't give in to what other people think and believe about your vision and about your goals. The reality is, unsuccessful people and successful people have goals. We both have goals. The difference between unsuccessful people and successful people is that successful people go after their goals. They don't care about whether or not people understand or acknowledge or accept their goals. They don't care if they look a little bit crazy or insane. They don't care if there's a temporary sacrifice for a long-term benefit. They just keep going after it because they believe in the long-term outcome. So let me ask you, right? When you think about the unsuccessful people who adopt other people's beliefs, who become consumed in the overwhelm of trying to please everybody, become consumed in the idea of, oh my gosh, I don't want to look weird or crazy. When you think about the difference between the unsuccessful people with goals and the successful people with goals, where do you stand? And what do you want in the long run? And what path do you need to take in order to get there?